How many times have you heard anarchy in the streets, rioters causing anarchy in the streets, anarchists and communists and whatnot, all on the news? How many times have you heard that about the various race riots that have been happening in the country? Now, I'm going to be arguing something that a lot of people are ignorant on. A lot of people don't know a whole lot about the issues of anarchy, communism, capitalism, anarcho-capitalism, and the like. So people are saying that these are anarchist movements. So anarchy isn't just getting rid of the government. That would be something else. That would be anti-governmentism, anti-statism. Now, anarchy is something entirely different. If you look at some anarchist philosophers, and there are a lot of them, a lot of people have been writing about anarchy. It was surprisingly similar to communism if you read some of their texts. Now, it's obviously not communism. There are distinctions between them. But if you look at it, they do push for local government that is very, very localized, but could be part of a whole. They talk about shared resources, a lack of any kind of hierarchy. Now, the lack of hierarchy is the thing that gets you, that distinguishes it from what people think it is, really. Because, first of all, they oppose any kind of capitalism, because capitalism necessarily relies on types of hierarchies, such as employers. They don't like that. They think that sharing resources is the best option. Now, obviously, these people here probably aren't employers. They're probably people who don't have jobs, or people who have bad jobs, or people who are just on government assistance. So these people here, they kind of fit the MO or the description, whatever, for people who would be considered anarchists, but they are very far from it in what they advocate. First of all, they're not really trying to push any kind of collectivist goal. They're not trying to push any kind of group ownership of the means of production. No, I don't want to say the means of production, that's more communist, but group owning of resources. And anarchism really relies on a lack of hierarchy. People, like, everyone's equal. I mean, and you kind of see that in capitalism and communism. Everyone thinks they're equal. Everything thinks they want to make things equal, but people really mean different things by those. So I'm going to be saying that, first of all, this isn't anarchy. It's as simple as that. I mean, people aren't pushing for some kind of shared society thing. It's race riots, people demanding justice, part of it, and people taking advantage of the situation to loot. And you can see that the government is actually, in some cases, helping the looters, because when people want to loot a business, sometimes the person who owns a business will try to protect the stuff in that business. And if they do so successfully, and you can't do so successfully without superior weapons. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. If you try to defend your business with a bunch of clubs, I mean, there are so many looters that they can't do it. So their only option is to use guns. But if you use guns, then the cops will arrest you. That is, if one of the people in the crowd doesn't use a gun on you. Now, most of them aren't armed, and that's part of the strategy. Because when you have guns, that's what makes you the bad guy. It's not what you do, it's just whether or not you have a gun to do it. So, if people saying this is some type of anarchy, it's very much not. It's state-sponsored, and when I say state, I mean different people in government are supporting this. It's state-sponsored destruction of property and looting, and sometimes murder. So, it's state-sanctioned. The government is very much involved in this here, because it would be that the cops are going out and arresting these people, but they have commands from higher up, even higher than the chiefs often, saying that they can't go and take out the rioters. The looters, they're called demonstrators and protesters, but those depend on not causing violence. So obviously that category doesn't fit them. So this is not anarchy, it's state-sanctioned. The people who are in charge, local politicians, sometimes governors, DAs, all of the attorneys in the cities, these people are the ones who are supporting it. They're going after the police and anyone who defends themselves. So, no, it's not anarchy. Anarchy would rely on getting rid of law enforcement as we know it. I mean, that's true. And it would rely on opposing capitalism, like a lot of these people seem to, but these people are looking out for their own interests. What they're doing is they're attacking places, looting them, and causing wanton destruction. That's not what anarchy is. Anarchy is something entirely different. It has its own, it has philosophers. It's not just go destroy stuff, and it's not just get rid of the government. It does believe in getting rid of a current government, but that's only in favor of a different type of government. More localized with more shared resources. And if you read into it, it sounds pretty idealistic. I don't think that anarchy could ever be a workable solution. But yeah, even if it were, this is nothing like it. This is something entirely different. It's ridiculousness. It's injustice. A terrible system is what we have going on right now. It's state-sanctioned destruction of property. That's all there is to it. Another thing that people might call it, or might compare it to, would be the ideas behind anarcho-capitalism. Anarcho-capitalism is very different from anarchy, in that anarchy opposes hierarchies. It's not anti-statism, which is more what anarcho-capitalism tends to be about. If you look at people who are pushing it, anarcho-capitalism is more along the lines of, everyone, just leave everyone alone. It's kind of like libertarianism, but it's saying that individuals should be responsible for taking care of themselves, individually formed groups, instead of a pro-free trade kind of government. So libertarianism would be, to stand back, let people live their lives, and if anyone's hurting anyone or taking their stuff, then you go and stop them. You go and punish them with the government. Anarcho-capitalism is say, no, get rid of the government and let people do their own thing. If anyone tries to screw with you, you can just use guns to defend yourself. So clearly neither of these are being met in these cities, because it's not anarchy, because these people aren't trying to build anything. They're not trying to have any kind of segmented, voluntary style local elections or governments. They're not trying to do that. So that's not anarchy. It's not libertarianism, because these people are destroying other people's property, and the government isn't intervening to help the people who are having their property destroyed. It's also not anarcho-capitalism, because the people who defend themselves against these things that the government won't defend, they get punished by the government. Like you see with Kyle Rittenhouse. People were shooting at him. He shot them. He shot back, and he ran away. And then he gets charged with murder. So, no, this is very state-sanctioned. This is state-sanctioned destruction of property. It's ridiculousness that anyone would compare it to any kind of organized political philosophy. No, it's ridiculousness. It's hate and anger. It's not anarchy. It's just injustice. That's all there is to it. So it's not capitalism. It's not anarcho-capitalism. It's not anarchy. It's not communism. Communism relies on shared resources, owning of the distribution of resources. This is just a bunch of losers who are trying to take the resources of others. This is state-sanctioned violence. It is destruction of property and attacks on life and limb that the government is supporting. If you're an anti-statist, you shouldn't be supporting these riots. You shouldn't think there's anything good coming of them. It's the government getting involved in one side of a violent conflict, the wrong side. That's all there is to it. People are trying to protect their property. When they do, they get bludgeoned to death, or if they do a good job of protecting themselves, they get arrested and charged with murder. That's what it comes down to. And I wish it weren't this way. I wish I could say that it was furthering some political philosophy. These people at least had some kind of ideals and morals behind what they do. But in reality, they're just human scum. They're scum that ought to be wiped off the face of the earth. These people shouldn't have been allowed to go on this long. They should have come in with police cruisers, riot gear. The first night that people were doing this, destroying property, should have come in with batons and pepper spray and beaten these people to a pulp and arrested every single one of them and put them in jail with massive bails that not all the Democrats in the world could pay. That's how this should have gone. They should have taken care of it right away. And you saw this a bit with the riots in the Amish country. The police there didn't let these people go. They beat them up. They put them in jail. They charged them with crimes, and they didn't give them ridiculously low bails that let them easily get bailed out by Democratic politicians and lobbyists. It's super easy. It's not hard to figure out. When people are destroying property, you beat them with batons, spray them with pepper spray, arrest them, and charge them with the crimes they committed. Not that hard to keep these people down. It's not furthering any kind of ideology. It's not going to benefit anyone. It's just destruction of property. Some people like breaking stuff, and they like looting. That's all it is. And the government is in the wrong side of it now. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. You have a good day.